It's the final day of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, and there's been somewhat of a shift in African representation with China becoming more prominent. Newzroom Africa's business editor Xolani Mbanjwa is standing by to tell us how well represented the continent has been at the World Economic Forum, not just representation, but actually being heard. Xolani Mbanjwa.
Good afternoon, Tutu. Thank you very much. Yes, indeed, there have been some mixed reaction of feelings among the African delegation, if I may call it that, over the years the African delegation has dwindled, and the heads of state have dwindled. There aren't as many heads of state from the African continent who come to the World Economic Forum. Rather, they send other delegations, and it feels, there's a feeling also, at least from some quarters, that Africa is not taking as central a stage, but is on the periphery as far as those discussions are concerned. We did see a number of South Africans and African leaders discussing very topical issues that have to do with economic growth, artificial intelligence, and jobs on the continent and in their various countries. But there is truly that also other feeling that says that we should be seeing many more African leaders, particularly heads of state, not just ministers, coming through here to sell Africa's case as a collective, because now we have something in the form of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which has which holds a lot of promise as far as investment growth is concerned, with even the World Bank estimating that if we as a continent rightfully do the right things and make the right moves and implement this agreement, we could see every year from 2035 a growth of income for the continent of above $450 billion.
Billionaire Bill Gates is now saying China can no longer be ignored. What's informing that sentiment?
Yes, indeed, China always gets a raw deal around the world. The sentiments about China, when you speak about its attempts to get into markets such as Europe and the Americas, North America and South America, you will know that China has been getting a raw deal. There have been talk now that China is becoming more of a focal point. We saw Li Qiang, who is the Prime Minister, coming through in terms of leading that delegation. There are more Chinese businesses at the World Economic Forum, and perhaps the most telling comment came from a billionaire and a huge member of the World Economic Forum, and that is Microsoft founder Bill Gates, who said China can no longer be ignored. It used to grow at about 10% in terms of economic growth per year. Since COVID-19, now that is at 5.2%. And when you think about the fact that China has not raised interest rates for the past 3 years, and their inflation currently stands at an estimated 0.2%. It tells you that there's something right that China is doing, and it is attracting a lot of investments because of the exports which countries like South Africa rely upon. And of course, real estate is big over there, as well as infrastructure investment. This is what Bill Gates said about the world no longer able to ignore China and its trajectory.
Example of a country that is now very self-sufficient and helping other countries. And the R&D budgets in China that can develop new vaccines, develop better seeds, better livestock genetics, those things can help China and help the countries that aren't as far along as China is, including those in Africa. today China's making, inexpensive products that benefit the world. The health statistics in China have improved very dramatically. So, there's a lot of win-win things, whether it's between Gates Foundation and China or even China and other countries, including the U.S., working together on climate innovation, all of these different health challenges. And so, the more the relationship can be about the win-win, I think the better off we all are.
And so it would seem like South Africa, through the expanded BRICS, which has countries like China, India, Brazil, and now Saudi Arabia, is making the right connections and the right moves because of the central part that those economies are playing. And if you look at projections in terms of economic forecasts for the next 10 years, India is at the top of the list, China is in that list, and Saudi Arabia in the next 10 years is estimated to be growing at a faster pace than most countries in Europe. Back to you in Studio Dudu.